Hey guys, this is Red Phoenix RS, and welcome to the RuneScape Beginner's Guide Day 3. Today we are going to be focusing very heavily on quests, because by the end of this episode, I would like to have all of the requirements to do Dragon Slayer. And I am going to show you a very efficient way to do that. Starting with the 8 quest points we earned earlier in the series, getting to 33 only takes about an hour and a half. Although first we are going to go get level 5 crafting, which is very quick and easy. It just requires us to make a couple of urns, because level 5 crafting is the only quest requirement for any of the quests we're going to be doing. Alright, so now onto the quests. These can be done in any order. I did them in basically alphabetical order after I picked out the quests I wanted to do. So first up is Blood Pact, and you start that quest in the Lumbridge Catacombs. So all you have to do is talk to Xenia, ask her if there's any way you can help her, and then accept the quest as soon as it comes up. Then you enter the catacombs. Then you step out and get attacked by this guy. Then Xenia gives up on being an adventurer, so that you can of course take all the glory of killing all of these very newbie enemies. You run up to this guy and you 2 or 3 hit him. Doesn't really matter. You have the choice to kill them or spare them. I like to kill them, but it makes very little difference. Although Xenia will passive-aggressively accuse you of murder. So you kill the first guy and you take his stuff. He will give you a bow. You use your bow to kill the second guy across the bridge, because you can't pull the lever while you're under attack. Don't be me and forget to take off your melee armor. That will make you do no damage when using a level 1 ranged weapon. Now you want to pull the lever to open the door, and once again you can run over there and you can kill the lady, you can let her live. It doesn't really matter. Now you want to run down these stairs after collecting her staff, and you will reach the final boss of this very short, very easy quest. His name is Reese. He looks cool, and I like to let him live, even though he dies anyways. Then you just let the random lady go, and talk to Xenia outside to collect your reward, which is a couple of XP lamps and some other random stuff, and access to the catacombs for training. And that's it. Quest number 1 is down. So on to quest number 2. So quest number 2 is Druidic Ritual. You get this quest by talking to Cake Mix at the Guthix altar in Taverley. Now you want to run south to Sanfew, who lives in a little hut near the gate into Taverley. And he will tell you what you need to get to perform the Druidic Ritual and restore the Guthix altar. Don't worry about paying attention to this. All these locations will come up on your map, and they're pretty self-explanatory. So the first one is at the cave a little bit north in between Sanfew and Cake Mix. You're going to run all the way to the southern end of the cave and collect water from the underground spring. Okay, next you want to run south and grab the Wandering Wormwood. It's usually just running around right here. Easy to grab. And then next up, you want to go to the fishing spot just south of here and fish a sparkling fish. Now, when you have the fish, you need to use a chisel on it, even though it gives you the option to fletch it. I don't know why. Once that's done, you just want to run back to Sanfew and give him the ingredients for the potion, and then the final cutscene will play and the quest is done. Alright, our next quest is Ernest the Chicken, which is one of 2 quests we will be doing in Draenor Manor today. Ernest the Chicken doesn't take very long, but it's probably the most complicated quest of all the ones we're doing today. And that's all because of one little puzzle. Now I'll give you a guide on the puzzle, but I recommend that you just read along with the wiki on this because this puzzle is complicated and you have to pull a whole bunch of levers in the right order. So after you talk to the lady outside Draenor Manor, your first step is going to be to talk to the mad scientist at the top of Draenor Manor, which means going up the stairs and then up the ladder. Talk to him and he will explain that Ernest, the lady's fiancé, has been turned into a chicken. Quite the dilemma. So now we need to grab a gauge, a hose, and an oil can in order to turn Ernest back into a human. The first thing you want to do is come down the stairs and go to the room over there. Straight behind the staircase, you have to go around it to the other side, through a couple of doors, and you want to grab the fish food. Be aware this ghost in here is aggressive, although as you can see he also goes down very quickly. Alright, next we're going to go downstairs and into the room just south of the kitchen. It does take a couple seconds to get your bearings in this place. It is a really large building and the layout is kind of confusing. So I'll try to play through most of this quest in real time just so that you can see where I wind up going. Alright, on this table you're going to grab the poison. Now use the poison on the fish food, and then we are going to run outside, which you can do either by teleporting out, or you have to go to the room on the easternmost side, and there's a door there that will let you go out. You cannot go out the front door of Draenor Manor. Alright, now run over to this water fountain and use the poisoned fish food on it because it is full of piranhas. Once you have poisoned the fish, all you have to do is reach in and grab the gauge. That's one solved. Alright, so next, just a little north of here, we're going to dig in this pile of compost, and from there we will get a key. Once we have the key, we go back into the manor, and into the room behind the staircase. There you will find the rubber hose on a table. Now, coming up next is the hardest part of this quest, and that is the lever and door puzzle. So you want to go into the room right of the entryway, and then you want to pull one of these candlesticks here. Once you're in there, there's a little trap door you can go down, and this will put you into the lever puzzle room. Now this lever puzzle is a pain, and I strongly recommend that you use a text guide. But again, I'll walk you through it. So, step 1 is to pull levers A and B. Lever B is right behind you at the staircase, and lever A is on the south wall. Now you want to go through door 1, which is the door right in the main room on the north wall. Now you want to pull lever D, which is the lever on the north wall, and run back out the first door. Now pull levers B and A again, and go through the second door. This is the leftmost door on the north wall. Now you are going to run through the west door and the north door, and you want to pull levers E and F. Now you have to go through the eastern door in the room, out the next door, and pull lever C. Now you go back the way you came, pull lever E, go back out that door again and run to the southern door, run to the southern door again, and you can get your oil can. Now once you're back upstairs, there's a lever on the wall that is really hard to see. It took me a second, and I've done this quest a dozen times. But it's on your side of the wall. It's right next to where I'm standing, actually. And once you get out of the Pit of Despair, all you have to do is climb back up to the top of Gunnar Manor and give all the parts to the Mad Scientist, and you will have completed the quest and turned Ernest back into a human. Alright, so next up is Gunnar's Ground, which is the replacement for the old Romeo and Juliet quest if you played back in the day. The plot is very similar, but the quest is arguably easier. There's just a lot more dialogue now. So you start the quest by talking to the dwarf sitting right on the eastern side of Barbarian Village. He's having trouble because he is in love with a barbarian woman. The only problem is he's a dwarf, and a pretty lame dwarf at that. So talk to him, give him some suggestions on his poetry. You'll know which one is right because it's the only one that makes any sense. And then you're going to run north up to Jeffrey, who is standing next to the furnace in Edgeville. Then you want to give him the love poem in exchange for a gold ring. Once you have the gold ring, you want to run back south, down to the dwarf, and he will tell you what to inscribe on the ring. Then you just craft the ring. It'll give you a little bit of crafting XP. You might even level up out of it. Then you want to show the ring to the dwarf. Make sure you do this. He'll say it's great, wonderful. And then you're just going to run it over to the red-headed barbarian. Now, when you're talking to her, you want to make sure that you don't mention that he's a dwarf. She will tell you that she would love to marry an outsider, but her dad would never allow it because her dad is a little bit xenophobic or something. So you want to run north and talk to her dad. and try to convince him that actually his daughter should be allowed to marry an outsider. Now, of course, her dad is the chief of the village, and of course he tells you no way in hell it would be an insult to his ancestors. So you go back to his daughter to tell her that nothing has ever changed and ask a couple of questions about this Gunnar guy, who was of course the founder of the barbarian village. Now you run back and talk to the dwarf, and you will concoct an evil scheme to convince the chief to let the dwarf marry his daughter. And of course the evil scheme is to write a poem. Now if you pay attention to the dialogue, it's pretty quick and easy. If you don't want to pay attention to the dialogue, you can basically guess at random and you'll eventually get it. I just guessed at random, because if you haven't noticed how much dialogue there is after I've sped this video up about 8 times for most of it, well, yeah. So once you have your freshly minted poem, just go run and talk to the chief's daughter, who will read it to the chief, and he will be so impressed that he will allow his daughter to marry an outsider. And that's it. We have completed yet another quest. We are one step closer to completing Dragon Slayer. Now, next up on our list is the quest Pirate's Treasure. Back into the vein of very short, very simple quests. To do this quest, you are going to want to buy a shovel. The only place to buy one, really, is the Grand Exchange if you're on free to play. And at the moment, they instant buy for about 2.5k. So once you have your shovel, you want to go talk to this pirate standing outside the bar at Port Sarum. Now, before the pirate will just tell you where his treasure map is, you of course have to do something for him. And he wants a bottle of Karamjan rum, which you can only get on Karamja. And of course, there's a customs officer who will not allow you to take Karamjan rum off of Karamja. So in true pirate fashion, you need to figure out a way to smuggle the rum back onto the mainland. So first you want to talk to the sailor guy here. He will take you to Karamja, and of course they need to inspect you to make sure that you're not bringing any contraband onto the island either, which there isn't any. So you're going to run over here, and there's a little store, and in it they sell Karamjan rum. Easy enough. Now if you want to speed up this quest just a little bit, come over here and pick 10 bananas before you go back to the docks. You can pick 5 bananas per tree. Easy enough. Just spam click, they pop up once a tick. Now we're going to run back over to the docks, and we're going to talk to this guy in his little hut here. His name is Lathus. And Lathus will tell you that he runs a banana export company. But here's the real tricky bit. The customs officers are so used to Lathus that they don't even inspect his crates anymore. So I wonder if we could just cram a bottle of rum into a banana crate. So next we want to ask him for a job, which of course is to pick 10 bananas and put them in the crate. So we take our bananas, we fill up the crate, and we put the bottle of rum in the crate with the bananas. Then we tell Lathus, and he will have the shipment of bananas sent back to Port Sarum. Then we want to go pay the customs officer so that we can go home. And once we are back in Port Sarum, we're just going to run over to the fishing shop real quick. It's right across from this boat. And we're going to grab a white apron off the wall. Then we want to run to the store just south of here. And we're going to try to go in the back door. And when the guy tells us no, we're going to say, hey, we want a job. And you want to have your white apron on at this point, because he won't let you in the back room unless you have a white apron, because that's the uniform for the job. Once you're in the back room, you just want to go and search the crate with a banana on top. That is the crate that will have your bottle of rum. And now we just leave and go talk to the pirate. Now that he has his bottle of rum, he will happily tell us where to find a treasure map. Or more of a hint of where a treasure is. Which is, of course, the Blue Moon Inn in Varrock. So we just want to run upstairs in the bar. And in the westernmost room will be a chest, and we want to search that chest. Now make sure that you read the hint and then teleport to Falador. And we're just going to run over to the park here, And we're going to find the spot with an X in front of the Saradomin statue. It's between some yellow flowers and the statue of Saradomin. And we're going to stand on that spot, and we're going to right click on the hint and click dig for buried treasure or whatever it says. And another quest bites the dust. Now we're going to teleport to Draenor and do the Stolen Hearts quest. To start the quest, we just need to talk to Ozan, and he'll talk about this gang of violent criminals that have, for some reason, headquartered themselves in Draenor. Now again, if you remember back in the old days, this quest is the replacement for Prince Ali Rescue. Although it's completely useless other than the quest points now because, well, you don't have a toll to enter Al-Qarid anymore. So the first thing we're going to do when we get the quest is we're going to run into the trapdoor in the house right next to us. Now down in the basement of the house is a guy called Noom, and Noom will, well, he'll ask you a bunch of questions and invite you to join his gang. Now once we're in the gang, we want to leave the basement and go talk to Ozan again. And we're just going to follow Noom over to the headquarters, which is the prison, but you got to follow him around, and you can't be too close or too far. Don't worry, the guy's blind as a bat. You walk up right next to him and he sees you, you just stop where you are, and you won't even care. Alright, now once we get to the prison, just open the door, and Noom will be so proud of you for coming in and finding the headquarters. Then he'll be really mad at you for not killing Ozan. And then Leela will pop up, and a whole bunch of dialogue happens that really isn't going to help us any. Look, all I can say is there's a certain era of RuneScape where Jagex was voicing all of the quests, and it was really cool. But every time that they reworked a quest or made a quest during this era, they added a ton of dialogue so that everyone would know just how great their voice actors were. And so basically every quest from this era takes 5 to 10 times longer just because you are constantly clicking through all of this dialogue. So, once we have all this information, we're going to run south to the big blue box on the map, if that wasn't enough of a giveaway. And we're just going to talk to any one of the mercenaries, and guess what? A whole lot more dialogue will play. Okay, with several more minutes of meaningless dialogue out of the way, now we have to kill the mercenaries. Now when we kill the last mercenary, he will drop a ransom note which will tell you what you need to get Prince Ali back. Skipping yet more dialogue, we now need to home teleport to Al-Qarid. It is very important that you home teleport so that Ozan will follow you. Now we're going to go talk to the guard, who's going to say, hey, the palace is on lockdown, you can't come in, because they needed an excuse for more dialogue. Now you want to run over to the crafting store and run up top on the stairs here. And we're going to start one of the cooler sequences of the quest, although it is slowed way down by the fact that you have to wait for Ozan to constantly catch up with you. But basically, just run along this little agility course here. Doesn't actually give you any experience, unfortunately. Alright, so once you get to the palace, you want to click climb on the bricks. And of course a cutscene will play because why not have even more dialogue? Now once all the dialogue is done again, you want to click on climb bricks, Once you're at the top, you're going to try to enter through the skylight on the south side of the building. And this will put you in a little bit of a puzzle, because you have to figure out which one of these idols weighs the most. Now, the strategy for this is pretty simple. You have 2 shots to figure out which idol weighs the most. So the first thing you do is weigh all 6 idols. If they come out even, you remove all 6, and then you weigh 2 of the remaining 3. If those come out even, the one that you did not weigh is your heavy one, or whichever one goes down is your heavy one. Then you take the heavy idol and you go place it on this little podium back here. Your reward for completing this puzzle? More dialogue. Now, during this massive bout of dialogue, basically, your entire plan to just give the people the ransom, that goes out the window. But then the king dies, so suddenly that plan is just back on the table, I guess. Because, you know, they really do need an heir to the throne. But that's the end of the quest. Alright, so next on our list is Demon Slayer, and you start Demon Slayer at this church here in the northeast side of Varrock, and you're going to talk to this guy right here. Once you are done talking, which, thank God, this one's actually a short conversation, you're going to come downstairs and you are going to perform a couple of tasks. 3 of them, in fact, to determine if you are worthy to wield the sword Silverlight, which is used to kill demons. So, first up is the Trial of Body, and that basically means killing a whole bunch of skeletons. It's as simple as that. Then comes the Trial of Faith, where you have to walk across an empty chasm to the other side. It's very simple, just do what the ghost tells you to do. If you mess it up, you can do it as many times as you want. And now all that's left is the Trial of Mind, where the ghost will just ask you a bunch of questions about the quest. So, who gave you the quest? What are you doing? Who are you killing? What is the name of the sword you're looking for? Really basic stuff. He always gives you 3 options and only one of them makes sense, so, you know. And then after a bunch of dialogue, you get Silverlight, which is our wonderful demon slaying sword. Now run back upstairs and pick up the note left on the ground by Gideon. And now we want to run south to the Zamorakian Temple, which is in the southeast of Varrock. And there's a little trapdoor outside, and you just run down there. Then we have to run around killing Zamorakian cultists. And I would pick up the food they drop, especially if you're a lower level, because this boss can hit you really high if you mess up the mechanic on him. And they all drop a piece of cooked meat when they die. And now onto the boss fight, which is the only remotely challenging part of this entire quest. And all you have to do is when the demon spawns, he's going to attack you. You're going to fight him. Once in a while, Gideon will tell you that the demon is charging an attack, and he will form a little bubble shield. You want to run inside that bubble. Then, once the demon stops his attack, you run back out and attack him. You're going to have to do this 3 or 4 times, and then the demon will die, and, well, quest complete. Okay, so finally onto our last super easy quest. we're going to teleport to Draenor, and we're going to run into this house right here. I accidentally ran past it. And we're going to talk to the guy inside. And he's going to tell us about the town's woes with an evil vampire. Now, first thing you want to do is run upstairs and search this dresser in the northwest corner for a piece of garlic. Then we are going to teleport back to Varrock and pay another visit to the Blue Moon Inn. Buy a beer, and I always buy 2 in case I accidentally left so I can drink it. And then we're going to go talk to Harlow here, and he's the weird gothic kid in a robe. Now you have to talk to him once, and he's going to demand a beer for all the secrets on how to kill vampires. So, go through the entire dialogue tree, and then use a beer on him and do it all again. He's going to tell you what you need to kill a vampire, the strategies for it, all that. Don't worry about any of it. It all happens automatically, and the vampire dies in about 2 hits. So, for our next trick, we're going to teleport to Draenor and pay another visit to the Draenor Manor. Run into the room just east of the entrance, and then down the stairs. And then we're going to open up the coffin here. And a little cutscene will play where we stab the spike into the vampire. But of course it just wakes him up. And so we have to come fight him. So once we kill the vampire, you just automatically swing the hammer and knock the stake into his heart. Vampire dies. And we go talk to the guy in Draenor again, and the quest is over. Now that's it for this video. Sorry this one was so long, but we had to do a lot of questing today. In the next one we're going to do Dragon Slayer, and then after that we're going to work on getting a lot of money together so we can get our bond. We're also going to talk about which skills we should train. And we're going to work on a few more quests because I would like to get most or all the free-to-play quests done before we get a bond. So I will see you all next time.